I appreciate you inviting me to your Keller Williams meeting. And those of you guys that don't know me know I'm a smart ass, so that's how I start off my meeting. Am I in trouble already?
No.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks for having me with this deal. I think I speak to you guys probably once or twice a year, but Kelly asked me to talk about listings and just a couple things. So I know you guys gave me a lot of questions to answer. I'll do my best to do that. And if I don't answer all your questions, let me give you my email. You're welcome to send me an email, and I'm happy to share it with you. It's Bob Lieb, Lieb, at AOL.com. And yes, I'm probably one of the 2 or 3 people. I will tell you, Bill Gray also has AOL. So I am honored to be in Bill's class. And also, I'm doing a CE class the 22nd of February from 9:30 to 7:30, 9:30 to 12:30 on agency law and marketing. So if you guys need your hours and more of extensive of what I'm doing today, again, it's 9:30 to 12:30. Just email me, I'll add you on. So pretty much, I'm just gonna give you a little background on what I do. And when I first started off, thank you, Kelly. When I first started off many years ago, I played college baseball, and I've always hated to lose. And I know some of you guys may have heard this story before. Even when I was coaching my daughter's T-ball team, which was 20 years ago, I'm still pissed off because this one girl, I think she was 8, dropped 2 fly balls in the outfield, and we lost the game. And I'm scarred, and I don't think I yelled at her, but it still bothers me. So anything I do, I do to win, and in a fair way, but I am a real competitive person. When I got out of the playing baseball, I came to work for my dad in the nightclub. We had a place called the Jockey Club over in Highland and 20th Street. We had that for about 8 years. We had about 2,000 members. We sold that, opened up at Central and Cownback, and opened up a second nightclub. So that was my previous deal. 1 year into that, I got sick of dealing with people. So now I'm in real estate, and especially the nightclub and the crazy hours. We had our first kid. Mark Moskowitz, who was a top realtor in the Valley, said, look, I've known you for a long time. I'd love to have you come work with me. And it just sounded like the right thing to do. And I still own the nightclub for about 8 more years till we sold it to Sweet Tomatoes. But I went to work with Mark. And what I would tell you guys, and one of the most important things, and I know a bunch of you guys asked me the same question, advice for a new agent. I think I'm going to pretty much sum it up in what I'm getting ready to tell you. I went to work with Mark, and I was very fortunate also to have another person that worked there with me is Ronnie Gilbert. And to this day, Ronnie's been in the business for 30 years. He's with Launch, my true mentor. I call Ronnie all the time. And I love Mark. Mark was phenomenal. He gave me great opportunity, but Mark was about Mark. Mark was about financially, me bringing in business for him, where Ronnie really cared about me. And it's again, 30 years later, I call Ronnie for advice, even though I have my brokers and just common sense advice that I kind of know the answer to, but I want to hear it from somebody else. And he always gives me the right advice. I don't like what he tells me sometimes, but I've got somebody else that has my back. And that's what you really need. And for those of you guys, I think there's 6 questions dealing with new agents. You've got to have a mentor. I mean, I can't emphasize it enough that you can't do this on your own. I know agents got a real estate school. My wife just got licensed 2 months ago, and she's basically telling me what I'm doing wrong, which a wife can do. But I don't always do it by the book, meaning that I'll do verbal offers and negotiate them. And then, but if you're doing with another agent that you know real well, you can do that. But the whole mentorship, to me, you can't, everything you learn in real estate school, water rights, you're never going to get questions like that. You almost got to throw that out the door. You pass the test, you have your license. But I would say you're going to be lost. My son did commercial real estate for, he's been doing that now for 8 years. His first couple of years, he had horrible mentors, and he was lost. And I was very fortunate. We go on listing appointments. Even though I knew a lot of people, I was a nightclub slug. Mark gave me that credibility. So I don't care, even if you're not a new agent, if you're kind of floating around right now and you want to know if you should be part of a team or not, I would tell you that you need to be in the beginning. I'm very fortunate that I learned a lot from Mark. I went on my own. I still stayed with Realty Executives for about 18 years and left to open up a Home Smart office a few years ago, and actually brought about 250 people over with me. I've always been on my own probably the last 18 years. Last year I was very fortunate. I sold 125 homes and 94 million by myself. And I don't sleep. I love what I do. But it's a lot of hard work. And this is a job that I would tell you, and I know a lot of you guys have been doing this for a long time. It's a 7-day-a-week job, especially as a listing agent. You don't have a life, and I'd rather be a listing agent. I do certainly take out buyers, especially with the limited inventory that's out there right now. But I would tell you that you gotta, if you're a listing agent, your sellers are going to call you 7 days a week. I know they interfere with your love life and your family and all that good stuff, but they're hiring you and you're making a lot of money from them. You got to have patience, which I don't have a lot of, but I tell you one thing that I do, I answer my phone. And you would be surprised how many deals a month, a year that I get that a potential seller or even a buyer has called agents. They don't return their phone calls or they pass them off to somebody else. They didn't call your fifth or sixth assistant. They called you as the main person. And I always take their calls. And sometimes calls are not the most pleasant. You know, there maybe people are pissed off at you. Yes, I get yelled at a lot. They're pissed off at you. But by answering the calls, you quash any concerns. But more importantly, as a predominantly a listing agent, people call me because I answer my phone. They're shocked I answer it. So I would say it's another small little thing to do is answer it, but it does come in handy. Let me just a couple things. One is I get fired up on January 1st because all the stats, everything I did last year are gone. I mean, they're not gone, but they're not on the books as a oh, I have my dogs back here. If you see something moving, it is, I have two boxers. So I hate January 1st because all of a sudden my sales commissions are starting off at zero and it kind of fires me back up again. I've been fortunate already in the last 20 days. We've already sold 14 homes in January. I thought it was going to be slow. Just get lucky. Sometimes people kind of hold off until the first of the year to start going at it. So let me ask me a couple of questions here. Do you feel home houses in non-COVID are affected? I'm not sure I understand what home houses mean, so maybe I'll skip that one. What else do I have here? Is it better being on a team? I think I just answered that one saying, I think it is in the beginning. I know there's guys like Walt Danley, phenomenal agent. He's got 17 people on his team. I would hate that. It's not for me. Obviously, the agents are very happy, I assume, because they're still there to be part of a team. But I just, I did that and moved on. So I can't tell you it's right or wrong. I know some guys right now love it if they travel. I'm not good at sharing. So if I had a partner after I left Mark and I found out that they did not work as hard as I did, and yet I was giving up money to them, and that I quit that team aspect real quickly. So that's a problem with teams. You really have to have equal work, equal shares. And I don't know, I've been around a long time to see that a lot of teams are broken up because one ends up doing the workload and the other doesn't, and various reasons. You get one maybe going through divorce or whatever that is, and just things kind of go by the wayside. So that's just a judgment call, but absolutely in the very beginning, I think being on a team is very, very, very essential. I got some notes when I do my classes. So let me see if I have anything. Here's the other thing too, about being a listing agent, you control the market. I mean, what I like about getting listings, when I sell a house, some people say you want to wait to 10, 15 days, 20 days to put up a sold sign. I put up a sold sign right away, and people go, aren't you missing potential listing calls? And I will tell you that right now, it's been that way for 15 years, 20 years. When I get more benefit of having a sold sign up in a neighborhood than I do some of the BS phone calls I get when a house actually is an escrow. So I think for me, having a sold sign works two ways. One is it shows that you sold a house in the neighborhood. And secondly, what it does, if people may be driving the neighborhood trying to find a potential listing agent and they see your sign there, you'd be surprised how many times that gets me another call. It may not work for you. And I know sometimes my broker asks me, why don't you just wait through the inspection period? You know what? Because I want other calls, and I as I said, I don't care about if a house could cancel. So I have to start again. But I know right now people are probably not going to want to show a house that is in escrow. Here's and I'm kind of going off my normal tangent right now. And I will tell you what really is my biggest beef right now is the lack of loyalty and respect agents have for each other. And I would tell you that this has probably pissed me off more than anything in the last couple of years. I know when we had the short sales and foreclosures that some of us had to deal with 12, 13 years ago, and you call the listing agent and you never got them, or they say, don't call after 5 o'clock. I'm thinking, really? I mean, you're not going to take calls after 5? But I saw a lot of sarcasm, a lot of disrespect with those agents. And I tell you what, guys, I have a short memory. I remember who treated me wrong. And I remember a lot of those agents from the short sale days that then try to get back on the bike and start selling homes. And they'd call me for, whatever it is. I'm going, you know what? I don't want to give them the time of day. I'm watching what agents are doing now. And if I call an agent, the main person, the king or queen of that group, I'm getting the 10th or 15th agent down the road there who doesn't give a shit about me and is treating me with total disrespect. I didn't call them. I called the main person, but the main person doesn't want to answer the phone, so they're passing me off. And I've been doing this long enough. I don't have any problem talking to somebody, but I want the person who has the listing to answer the call for me. The other thing that I'm seeing now, and you guys may disagree with me, and you have the right to do that. I think it's totally crap when you call on a listing and they tell you we're not going to, if it's on a Friday, we're not going to present offers to the seller till Monday, or we're going to hold for 3 days. And that's great because you have that one listing. But guess what, guys? I have a buyer who wants to buy that house today. And I'm just giving you my opinion. And I don't want to wait 3 days. And you're going to come to me down the road. And let's say I have 2, 3 offers on a house. And I've worked with, let's say Kelly, for instance. I don't know if you're licensed Kelly, but I'm just saying, using an example. I know Kelly. I don't know the other 2 people. Or maybe I know one of the other people, but I know that they just don't, return calls and not really good on the phone. I'm going to tell my seller, I've worked with Kelly before. The deal will get done. I don't know these other 2 agents. I can't tell you they're not great. And my seller is going to respect the fact is that I know this one agent. You've got to understand, guys, if you want to be long-term in this industry, and there's a lot of agents that may say, hey, they don't like me or whatever reason, but I tell you what, nobody's going to ever say that I'm disrespectful to them or I'm mean to them. Maybe they're jealous of what I do. I don't know, but nobody's going to say I'm not a hard worker. And I'm just telling you, you want to be in this business for 30 years like I have. It's not from, everybody liking me or I'm liking them, but I respect who they are. And I respect their hard work ethics. You don't stay in this business for a long period of time and treat realtors like crap. And I'm going to get off this soapbox, but I'm telling you, respect your competitors. Respect, we all fight for the same listings, but what I'm seeing in today's world right now with lack of inventory, the total disrespect and crap these realtors treat other people, you ain't going to last long in this business. And that's my soapbox, but hopefully you guys will understand that respect and loyalty to your fellow realtors, it makes you in this business for a long time. So I'm kind of going off my gamut.
Hey, Bobby, I have a question.
Not Bobby. Let me see what other questions I have in here.
Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Oh,
yeah, we have a question.
Yes.
Hey, I was wondering, so what's the foundation, or what was your foundation to get listings, or the foundation that got you to where you're at now, where you're having tons of listings? What was your foundation?
I would tell you that what really helped, number one, Mark, sorry, I got my dog here is here. So I think part of it was I do a lot of people in the Valley. My dad moved out here in '64. I knew a lot of people, but Mark and Ronnie gave me the confidence. So I started off selling in Paradise Valley with those guys, and I really did, and that helped. But I knew that I wanted to be an expert. I want to be the top realtor in North Central where I live, but it wasn't going to happen overnight. There are some great agents. There's still some great agents, but my competitor said, I want to kick their butts and I want to and I want to really market. So I farmed and targeted an area. It also helped that I coached a lot of the kids in the area, and some of the kids really were not real good ball players, but I knew mom and dad down the road may want to sell a house, so I was nice to them, let them play. But I would tell you that I worked my area, and I still work my area, and I'll spend about $5 grand a month. I do it off. It didn't happen overnight. Probably took 6 or 7 years for me to kind of move up the ladder, for maybe the other agents to retire, or people see that I'm aggressive in getting it done and returning calls. And I just, and plus what also helps with me, I have a very nice wife to help offset me being an ass sometimes, or probably a lot of times. So they liked her, but I think I really farmed an area. I targeted an area. I didn't spread myself out. I still do sell in PV, but I co-list with another agent, because if I have to get on the freeway, to me, it's too far no matter what direction I go. And I started at Tatum and Shea, and I'm in Central, so I used to have to do that drive 3 or 4 times a day. But I think really targeting an area. I do a lot of postcards. This is, I don't know if you guys can see this, probably, but I do a lot of postcards. And to me, simple advertising. You got your title companies at the various companies you work with, the mortgage companies. I send a lot of postcards. I also, and I'll tell you, but let's focus on the postcards for things. So if you get a listing in an area, and I get agents who tell me, well, nobody knows that I'm around. Nobody knows that well, how are they going to know? Because if you don't market yourself, you got to spend money. And what I talk about in my class, and those of you guys have heard me before, Johnny's probably heard a bunch of times, and he probably is asleep right now. Johnny, you sleep anyway. But I would tell you that you really gotta spend money, and you got to be consistent. Even as an agent, when I first started, I came from nothing. My brother and I grew up in an apartment complex. My dad, when I had the nightclub, paid me $700 a month, but I got free food. So I didn't come from anything, guys. I earned whatever I earned. Nobody handed me anything. But I would tell you, the marketing, you got to spend money. And I don't care. I know I'm spending a lot of money now, but I didn't when I first started. I used to do a newsletter every month to people that I knew, whether it be from the nightclub. I just send a letter. Here's what I'm doing, guys. Trying to make it too egotistical. Here's what, if you guys, newsletters to me worked great. Probably originally I had 1,500 people because of my nightclub. And then when people would tell me to quit sending them a letter, I accidentally sent them 3 letters that next month. So it was an accident. I didn't mean to do that. But you got to keep in touch. And so the newsletters help. Then that got to be kind of cumbersome. I started doing postcards. So what I do, again, your title company, mortgage company, whoever you guys, your vendor of choice, you got to pay for the postage, what have you. But the postcards, I'll do something every month. If I just list a house, I'll send it out to an area. If I just sold a house, I'll send postcards. But what I do for kind of going targeting areas, I'll pick a zip code, or I'll pick a grid, an east, west, north, south, and I'll send out every other month. I'll do the first part of the month. I'll send out, again, you don't have to do a lot of postcards, but I do, probably 1,500 twice a month. And the first part of the month, I'm gonna send them postcards that are geared towards homes that are maybe 500,000 and under. And I do all kind of price range. Even though last year I sold 25 homes over $1 million, a couple over 3 million. I also sold a ton of homes under 300,000. I'll take anything. I even sold one for 60,000 last year. I got $1,800. So that covers 2 days of deliveries from all the stores that we're getting at our house. Anyway, go back to this thing. So I'll do postcards. The first part of the month, I'll do under 500,000. I'll put 4 or 5 homes on that postcard of ones that I've sold that are under 500,000. Target the area, that grid area that I want to farm. And I'll tell the title company that I want homes that are maybe under 1,500, 2,000 square feet for that $500,000 buyer that a listing I'm looking for. The second part of the month, I'll go after the luxury market. I'll go after the homes that are maybe over 4,000 square feet, over $1 million, and I'll send out 1,500, 2,000 of those. One thing I would tell you guys, again, I think it's real important. Don't target yourself as a particular agent. Jan Ross, who I deeply, deeply respected when I first started Realty Executive, she's still around. One of her adages was, I sell condos to castles. And that couldn't have been more of explicit to me. Those of you guys, and I know, look, I can say I'm a luxury agent because I sold 94 million last year and 25 homes over. But here's what happens when you do that. People that have the $200,000 and $300,000 homes are intimidated that you say you're a luxury agent and they're not going to go with you. I do not do that. I think that's dangerous. I get it. You got Robert Jaffe, who's a phenomenal friend, also a great agent, Arcadia, PV, Walt Downley. They do all luxury houses because in Arcadia, 500 square foot homes going for 2 million. So you can get away with it in their neighborhoods. Where I sell in North Central, you can't. So I just be careful, don't target yourself. I'm a luxury agent. Okay. If you're a luxury agent, just know the bread and butter listings of, the condos, 2,000. Why are they going to hire you if you're saying you're a luxury agent? So be real careful. I'm real careful in my advertising. I see Kelly says they have an awesome farming class on the calendar, February 4th. That's great. And I think that's a big deal, but I'd be careful on targeting myself. But when you ask me how I keep consistent, I do postcards. And guys, even if I sell the 94 million sold last year, I got to start over because there's a lot of young whippersnappers that want to kick my butt. I'm not going to let you do that yet. So you can't stop advertising. And again, whether it be postcards, I do we have a newspaper in North Central News. It's called the North Central News. And I run 3 pages in there. I have run 3 pages in there for over probably 18 years. I get a lot of business from that. And I have a centerfold. Unfortunately, the centerfold's got my picture probably 20 years ago because I looked better 20 years ago. But it's my listings in the middle. I do an article, which is not a bad idea for some of you guys to do that are writers. I do an article as advertorial, which is also another page that I pay for advertising. But I write about the market. I write about what's going on. I take some stuff from the Crawford Report, incorporate it in my article. But people in my area see that, and it makes it look like I know what I'm talking about, and that helps. But whatever you do, you've got to do something. So if you don't advertise, you're not going to survive in our industry. You've got to do it because people like me, the Danleys, you got Robert Jaffe, we spend a lot of money in advertising. Now, understand too, when you're advertising, you can get a title company or mortgage company to pay a portion of that as long as what they're paying for is a proportion of your advertising. In other words, if you if you're allocating 20%, say your ad costs you $1,000 a month, and you're allocating 20% of that ad to the title company or mortgage company, then they can give you $200. Be careful because there's groups out there that look and see if you're taking too much or not, being legitimately with your advertising stuff. So I'd say that's probably one of the most important parts, but you have to spend some money.
What is your top
signs help me because I put sold signs on there, the flyers, the advertising. I do a bus stop. As crazy as that sounds, I originally, and the bus stop, does it bring me money? I don't know. I know it cost me about, $5,000 a year, but I did a bus stop in Central Phoenix, the busiest corner in our area, and people drive by, they draw mustaches on, they probably flip the bird at me. I should have a camera so I know who's flipping me off, but probably half the drivers. But again, you got to do something. And does one advertising area work better than the other? It's all. Another way that is a very inexpensive way to advertise is on the back of your local little league teams. Now, it's baseball, basketball. I know a lot of them may or may not be competing right now. Put them on the fence of the sports teams that you're in your area. Get your name in the back of a jersey. It costs you maybe $300 or $400 to have your name on for that particular sports season. But guess what? Those kids are going to be wearing that jerseys after the season's over, and they're promoting yourself. So that's kind of another avenue. And let me see if any other questions, Kelly, that I need to, or let me see what else is there. Somebody asked me, what do you see? By the way, here's what I really love. Please bring value to the call. And I swear to you, I thought that was Jeremy or Mark doing that. What are your top 3? Okay, go ahead. Put that back on. I didn't see that. what is it? What are the top 3 sources? I didn't.
Well, I was asking, what are your three
Oh, go ahead.
top?
Sorry, okay, go for it. Go for it.
I was asking, what are your three top sources that you paid for advertising? I know you said postcards is one. What are your other two that are performing well for you?
You know, okay, let me turn. I got my sheet here. It kind of tells me different things I advertise in. I will tell you the best. One good way. My wife is a internet freak. That she's great at helping me market stuff on Instagram. I didn't even know how to open up Instagram a year ago. So I would tell you that's free, and people don't give a shit if you're cooking or all, but you're getting your name in front of people. And I will tell you, it's amazing when she posts stuff for me. There's already 200 people that have looked at that in a short period of time. Facebook is another really good way of doing things. Again, it's free. You got to do something. But though I would say the internet, different internet deals. By the way, I'm rubbing my dog in case you guys are wondering where my hands are. I just want to make sure. Here's anyway. So hey guys. So I don't want to get arrested here. So at the post, and I'll tell you another thing I used to do a lot of sports magnets. Unfortunately, we're not doing that right now. But I did Diamondbacks, Cardinals, and Suns. I would put my information on magnets, mail them out to clients. I'd have them in the various stores in my neighborhood, and then I would, in tune, I would advertise their stores in my ad. But the magnets are great because people put them on their refrigerators. Sometimes I'll go in houses and I'll see like Jeremy's or somebody's from my home group's magnet, take it off. No, I'm just kidding. I would not do that. I'd like to, but he can't. But the magnets are another inexpensive way. I use Magnolite. You can get 200. I think they're like 60 cents a piece. Get 300 or 400 of those. Mail them out to clients, so they'll put them out there. Again, there's a couple other things. Local papers, little league teams. What else? What I was going through? I had a PR firm one time. I spent about $6,000 a month for about. Actually, $3,000 a month for about 8 months trying to get into the Biltmore. It didn't work. And I tell you, it is kind of hard to get into an area where you've had agents been there for a long time because people are very loyal. And but you got to keep trying stuff. Some stuff works, some doesn't. Somebody's asking me. So bottom line, a team or not? It's personal preference. You know, I can't. It's whatever you're comfortable doing. I did the team when I first started. I think as I said earlier, I think the team concept is really important in the beginning, but I just didn't feel like I needed a team after that because I'm paying, those of you who are various companies don't pay a whole lot in your dues. Some of you pay more being part of a team, but I wanted 100% of what I made. So I felt like going individual was the best way to go. Somebody had a question while I was talking. Go ahead, and if you want to talk, tell me what that was, and I'll do my best to answer it. Was there somebody just posted a minute ago? Any questions on that?
Yeah, did you see somebody wants you to talk about your listing presentation?
I'm sorry?
Somebody wants you to talk about your listing presentation.
Okay. Is that a voice from Goddess back there? Okay. So let me tell you, probably what I do is not what I would recommend doing you guys, because I go with a thin deal. Because I'm targeting the area I sell in. Let me tell you something real important. Thanks for the question, Kelly, whoever asked it. So I will tell you that when I go on a listing appointment, what's the first thing I do? I look on Zillow. I look on Trulia, Realtor.com. Do I believe their numbers? Hell no, I don't. Zillow's numbers are so bull crap. But guess what? Your sellers look at those. Your buyers look at those. So I got to know when I go into battle what they're seeing, what they're thinking, so I can diffuse the argument if I say these are not realistic. I think it's very important, and I'll add another that if you're going to go on a listing appointment, you got to know your comps in your area. I'm fortunate that we have virtual tours now. We don't go live on tours anymore, but if a new listing comes up in an area, I try to go see it, because when you go on a listing appointment, your sellers are going to expect you to know what's competitive to them. How can you tell your seller that your home is worth X, even though you've seen it on the internet and you have your, but how do you, if one's went down, especially if you're in a subdivision that all the homes look alike, how can you just justify what they put money in, they have it in their value? So you got to know the inventory. It is so, so important. You know, I loved it when we had the live tours. Maybe we're going back to them in the next 6 months or whatever, but you got to know every house in your area. You got to know the comps, because I promise you, there's so much information that your sellers are going to have that they know the answers to the questions they're asking you. And if you try to bullshit them, they're going to know you're lying. So I would tell you, it's very, very important that I know all the competitive listings that I'm going to go on, or sales. Fortunately, a bunch of them are mine, but they're not all mine. I got to know what my competitors sold their houses for, what was in there, what the new houses look at. So when I go on my appointment, I look at the internet, look what their Zillow and them are asking. I also will take, I'll take flyers that I've done. You guys got to have professional flyers. Don't go cheap on flyers. I mean, you can get your title company, mortgage company to help you, but we have, we have professional flyers, and that really helps to distinguish what we have. You also got to do something creative. I mean, we do drones on all of our homes now that are X amount of dollars. That kind of helps people like that. I know some of you guys do videos. You can one up me on the technology, but you can be the smartest technology person in the world. And just so you know, I'm proud to say I'm probably the biggest idiot at Home Smart with technology, but I can pretty much outsell everybody because I know the inventory. So you can be much more brilliant than me. I graduated from Coastal Carolina and South Carolina and majored in baseball. That's how brilliant I am. But I'm not a straight A student, but I know the inventory. So you can be so much smarter than me, so much more technology advanced than me, which doesn't take, even my dog has more technology wisdom than me. But I know you're not going to outsmart me in the inventory. I know every house in my neighborhood. So that's, I think, the advantage you have to have if you want to beat your competitor. The other thing I would tell you is real important is if you're a newer agent, and I know I say this in my class, if you're a newer agent, let's just say, God forbid, your parents just pass away, and you, I know I'm bringing up a morbid deal, just humor me just while I'm bringing this up. Let's just say your parents pass away. You're the only realtor in the family. You're going, this is $1 million house. I got it. Guess what? There's that word greed. Your siblings may love you, but guess what? They have spouses and they're going, well, Bobby's a brand new agent. He doesn't have the expertise to sell this $1 million house. We're going to hire somebody else. Here's what you need to do right away, guys. When you know that you don't have the expertise, whether it is your family deal or an area, but they're calling you to potentially go on a listing appointment, co-list it. Bring somebody in there that will diffuse the argument of your family and their spouses to say, Bobby is inexperienced, but guess what? I brought the best agent in our neighborhood. And you want to kind of make it, be honest with you guys, you also want to make that agent with your company, because you start getting into liability if you go with somebody from another company. It just, the Judy Lowe will tell you, it's just, there's a lot of good, every company's got great agents. So that's what my first recommendation would be. But co-list. If you co-list, one thing I am smart enough to know that 50% of a deal is a lot better than zero. So to diffuse that argument, they go, you know what? I don't know this area. I am a new agent, but I do know the potential listing agent or seller. I'll bring somebody in so that my family cannot say they're not going to hire me now because I brought the equalizer in there. I got the best agent in there. You'd be surprised how many deals. And you know what also that does? If your family doesn't hire you, you got issues there that are going to be scarred for a long time. So co-list. What are some other things that I bring in? So I bring in comps. The Crawford report is also a great tool. It's a third-party endorsement. If you guys don't subscribe to the Crawford report, if you ever have the opportunity to hear Tina Tambor, she's a bomb. She really knows this industry like nobody else does. And just like Bill Gray, who I learned a lot from, they're current. I mean, you can't live in the past. What worked a year ago, 2 years ago. Tina's data is right up to the beginning. for all areas of town. So that really helps. So I think that also is a big plus. But you got to have the data. But the most important thing that I bring is I bring area knowledge and knowing the comps and knowing what happened, know who lives in all the neighborhoods. That's also very, very important. If you're going to, I mean, nobody's going to hire me to sell a house, even though I do have one in Chandler right now, as an example. I went on the listing appointment Chandler because, and I do know Chandler one time. I went on there and honest to goodness, I swear to you, it felt like I was going to Tucson and back. I co-listed the house and we got the listing and here's what I told the listing agent. I'll get to that question. Paula, after I get done with this, go ahead and answer. So I went on a listing appointment and I told the agent, I said, here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna get this listing. I'm never coming back to Chandler again, maybe the rest of my life, but I'm gonna give you 50% of this deal. It's $1.2 million house. I don't want my name anywhere. I don't want anybody to call me because I don't know it, but I'm gonna give you 50% of $1.2 million deal. She signed the bottom line and we're 50-50. I don't get any calls from Chandler. I don't want any calls from Chandler, but I got a listing because the people knew me. And now I got the agent's going to pay me a 50% referral fee. I would take that all day long. If somebody said, hey, we don't know North Central, but would you take a listing for $1 million, $2 million? Heck yeah. I mean, because it's another sign that I have in the area. So I think it's important. Paul, I see you had a question. I didn't get a chance to read. What was your question? Paola, Paola, I think it was.
Yeah, I just want to know, a lot of sellers right now are currently scared to sell because they're afraid they're not going to find the home that they're looking for in the current market with such low inventory. So how do you make them comfortable and just kind of get over that hump?
Great question. So let me tell you what, you got to be creative in this market. So what I've done on a couple of deals, actually, let me give you an example, and I can't make this stuff up. I mean, I'm giving you a true story because I'm not a good liar. But we had a house that was $1.5 million, actually $1.6 million in North Central. And my seller said exactly what the question. He said, Bobby, I want to sell this house, but I'm not moving for 3 months because I don't have a house to go to. So here's what I did. I put it on, I made notes. I said, I got a great idea for you. I put it in my listing that this seller will only sell in one condition. You guys buy his house and he lets the lease back for 2 months. Now, most lenders, and I could be wrong for any lender, I think lenders only allow you up to 60 days before you take occupancy being your main house. And we did the deal. I had 3 offers at $1.6 million. All 3 agents said, hey, we want this house because no inventory. We're able to close on the property. And so my seller got to sell the house, did not stress having to find another house, and he became a renter. So he got his $1.6 million in the bank. And that made everybody happy. The buyer had enough money to be able to buy his house. So that allowed them to know they had a house and it gave them time to sell their house. So it was a win-win for everybody. Now I get that not all sellers or buyers have the ability to pay $1.6 million for a house and keep her house. The other option would be you can still do a 60-day close maybe. Make sure you have a healthy non-refundable at the end of maybe the inspection period. But that's another way to maybe be creative. But I know it's very, very uncomfortable for some people out there right now. I know that people, I mean, I just had a house that we sold, I think it was 3 months ago for $2 million, 5 offers on the table, 5 offers. And the sellers had already bought another house. We had to waive our financing contingency, our inspection contingency, and the appraisal contingency was nerve-wracking because we hadn't had a lot of sales in North Central for over $2 million. My seller had to put $150,000 non-refundable. And the good news, I talked to the lender and he felt very, very comfortable that it would not be an issue, and it wasn't. But you're giving away a lot of your rights, and I'd be real, real careful when you're waiving appraisals, you're waiving, the contingencies. But going back to your question about, the sellers buying a house, let me give you another example of something that I did. And I know you guys are going to say it was stupid, but it worked. So I knew I was getting this listing of this house. And the seller said, look, I got to buy a house first. I don't have to necessarily close, but I want to know I have a house. His price range was $450,000. I'm going, oh my goodness gracious. And sure enough, two different times, one particular seller was one of those where you pay $500 and to put an MLS, and now you're dealing with a seller, which, oh my gosh. So I called the seller and they said, well, they're going to wait 2 days before they're going to present offers. I called the seller up and I said, look, my guy will buy your house, and I think the house is going for $450. Tell me what it is. It's cash. Tell me what it is that we can buy the house for. And she goes, $500,000. My guy agreed to it. We gave her a deadline at 9 o'clock. 9:01, she calls me. I sold to somebody else. Okay. So now my seller, who I said, oh yeah, this is great, it got it worked out. He's pissed off at me. So now we come up. Now you got to realize I'm getting ready to list his house, which is $1 million. So now he calls me up and said, okay, you suck and all this stuff. I go, she told me she was going to do anyway. So here's what he called. Now he calls me on another house. He goes, I'm here. I told the person that you're his realtor. I'm representing him. And this, again, it's one of these, I'm holding all offers for 3 days. And again, the 450 price range. So here's what I told the seller. You guys may think I'm crazy. I told the seller, have this agent represent you. He goes, well, that means you're not involved. I go, yeah, but I'm going to get your listing. And lo and behold, after 3 days, my seller bought that house because he was a dual agent. And I know I gave up the commission to represent, but my guy never would have gotten it because I knew that agent was going to be hungry enough to somehow, some way, that dual agency, him representing both the buyer and seller, somehow he was going to convince the seller to make that deal work, and it did. So again, it was creative on my part because I just knew that you're not going to win on these $450,000 sales unless, here's where the relationships come in. You have a good chance if you know the agent, but the agent, I'm telling you guys, you can tell me I'm wrong, but I'm going to tell you I'm not wrong. If you're a listing agent, don't have a lot of inventory out there, you're going to do your best to become a dual agent. I mean, that's just the way it works. You want both sides because you're going to make more money. But if that doesn't happen that way, then you have the opportunity to, get both sides and make it happen. I was thrilled. My seller got the house. I listed his house and sold his house. So I made, $25,000 selling his house, and I didn't have brain damage. He never was going to find a house and close on a house with this $450,000 price range with 30 offers. I mean, it's just not going to happen. So I gave up money on that side, but I probably never was going to get a deal unless I actually got a listing to sell him. But he wanted to be up in North Phoenix area past Greenway and Bell, and I get nosebleeds going up there. So I knew I was going to lose out. So that's the frustrating part. I thought that the seller was going to be honest with me. The seller didn't care, and I'm sure they played my offer against theirs. There's a lot of gamesmanship being played in today's world. And I'm telling you, that's where you burn bridges with agents if you're not straightforward with them and picking up the phone. So hopefully that answers your question. The most creative one is see if your seller can sell the house, the buyer can buy the house, close on it, and then the seller becomes the tenant for 60 days. He's got his house sold, and he's got 60 days to find a house. Any other questions before I kind of ramble on here?
I have another question.
Yes.
Thanks for answering that one.
You're welcome.
So when you're doing farming and sending postcards, how much, how many miles would you go out? Like, would it be a 1 mile, or, would you just pick one subdivision, or would it be, a few around in the same area?
What I would do is I would pick like my area, my geographical area for North Central. Hey, buddy. My geographical area, North Central, is like 15th Avenue. I'll even open up to 32nd Street. I'll go northern to like Camelback. It's probably a 5-6 mile radius. So I send them to all those people. And again, as I said, I do it in 2 phases. One is for the homes that are under $500,000, and then I'll do the second part luxury. You don't want to do 1 mile. I mean, if you're gonna put forth the effort, spread it out. And again, the key word is consistent. You cannot just do it one time because people are just going to toss the garbage can. I am, Kelly probably knows, fairly obnoxious. Is that right, Kelly? Am I a little obnoxious? You don't just nod your head. I know I am. Some people may call me worse, but you've got to do it consistent. I send it every other month. I send these postcards out, boom, boom, boom. They may not call you, and let me give an example of something that happened when I came to HomeSmart Firm Realty Executives. You guys are all familiar with Homes and Land. Homes and Land is a great magazine. I don't advertise her anymore, but when I went on my own after I left Mark, I did Homes and Land for about a year because I wanted my sellers to know that I'm marketing their houses. But when I came to HomeSmart, and Realty Executives had a really good presence in Homes and Land. I think they had 16, 18, 25 pages in there, and which was a great. We had none. So I said to our group, and I think at the time, I think I had 100 people in our group. Now I got about 1,300 people in there. I go, guys, let's get a presence here. Let's run the ads in Homes and Land. A full page for Homes and Land is $780. You can do 6 small pictures, $130 each. You got to do something. And they all go, yeah, let's do it. And I had 40 agents, guys. The first month we had, I think, 20 pages in Homes and Land. By the 4th month, we're down to 2. And everybody kept saying, well, nobody's calling me. That's the way it works. I mean, it could be a year before somebody calls you. When you stop advertising, you become faceless and nameless because you're going up against people like me that spend a lot in advertising. And there could be months like the bus stop. Is it worth $5,000 a year? Probably not, but I have it for one reason. It's because my wife makes me. So I can't lose that one. I've tried to cancel it and she makes me. So I want to stay married, been 34 years. So you do what you got to do. But I would tell you there's certain aspects of your marketing that advertise are not going to work. Somebody said I like the bus stop. I don't know if it's my bus stop you like or the concept, but if you like my bus stop, thank you. But at the end of the day, you got to do something. You cannot stop advertising. The postcards, I mean, I've got like 10 different ways that I advertise. Some work, some suck, but you just never know that one time. But let me tell you something. I know I said earlier, and I guess I have 5 more minutes. So I'll keep talking as long as you guys have me. You see this thing right here, guys? It's my phone. I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it twice. This costs you nothing. Zero. Zippo. Even my dog understands it. Zero. Answer your phone. That it gets you business. If you're spending all this money advertising and promoting yourself, and you finally got a human being on the other line that wants to call you to hire you, and you don't answer your phone, you're screwed. So answer it. It takes no effort. I know, again, I don't have kids at home anymore. I got my 2 dogs and my wife. My wife now, as I said, now is actually working with me, as I told you earlier. But look, my daughter is still a little upset with me because when I went on vacations, and both my kids were, we got them to the beach to see their friends, but I answer the phone a lot at the beach because you'd be surprised when you're on vacation and you're telling your potential buyers or sellers, hey guys, I'm on vacation. I'll be back if you. The fact that you answer your phone on vacation, you'd be surprised how many listings that has helped me get because they know that I'll be back in a couple of days. I've even left a vacation in California for a day and flew back to get a listing. And I'm as cheap as they get, but I wanted that listing. It was a $2 million listing. I literally flew back. My family was happy to get rid of me. And I left for a day and flew back that night and got the listing. Do whatever, but answer your phone, right? I know I got, by the way, I do this really, I have fun with this class that I teach. I know I said earlier, if you guys want to put it down, February 22nd from 9:30 to 12:30. It's going to be on Zoom, of course. And just email me and I'll have you added, boblieb@aol.com. I know that Kelly added that. But here's what I learned. I've been doing these Zoom classes for, Randy, do me a favor, as soon as I get done with this comment, you can ask that question to me, because I'm kind of seeing your question and also talking at the same time. So what I would tell you, it's when I do my classes, I learn from the master. Bill Gray and I became really, really good friends last 4 or 5 years. There's nobody I respect more in our industry. I go to a lunchroom. He's as cheap as I am. We fight over if I got double chicken, but the guy is so current. The last few classes he did for me, and I got him to come over to HomeSmart to do classes. He would spend 25 hours to do one class. And I go, Bill, why don't you copy some of the other ones you've done? He can't do that. He had music to that. And what I learned from Bill is doing a 3-hour C class, and I did my first few times, I become brain damaged, more brain damaged than I already am. But Bill, like we're doing here now, we're interacting with you guys. Bill would have me at the end of the table asking me questions while he's doing his deal, which kind of scared me because I couldn't fall asleep. But you want to get more people involved on these Zoom deals. But I'd love to have you guys sign up for my 3-hour. I'll do an extensive more on everything, on where I've been sued, what ideas worked, what ideas didn't work, marketing. It's also agency law, so you get 3 hours of agency law. But again, hopefully that will help. Go ahead. What was the question? I think it was Randy that you had for me. Randy, you there? All right, Kelly, we have 5 more minutes. What's my time frame? Am I done?
No, I can read you Randy's question if he's shy to ask it. He just asked if you doubled down on certain things more to keep up with the low inventory issue for listings.
Yeah, I had to figure out how to get my mute off.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad to know that you're as technology idiot as I am. So I'm right there with you. So we're in this together.
Old school, that's all.
Hey, so am I, man. That's okay. I'm AOL. Does that tell you anything? So do I double down? I don't know if you'll probably, if I hang on, hang on. This is my baby here. So say hello, everybody. So I don't think I double down. Well, maybe I send out more postcards for the month. I think that's probably the most inexpensive thing to do. But I think I do that. And that's the newspaper I do. I used to do 5 pages. I cut that down to 3. But I think the postcards really are the most inexpensive thing you do. Open houses, we all know that open houses are very inexpensive to do. But I would tell you, open houses to me are the way I get listings. What I used to do is but you got to know the inventory, because a buyer may come in there and say, I like your presentation. I think I see your what you do out there. Or a seller may be coming in there and say, I'm thinking about hiring this person. I'm going to test them and see if they know the area. And that's why I said, if you're going to do an open house, you need to know the comps. Don't just say, okay, it's 5 till 1. I got them. I'm just going to do an open house. They don't know the area. I will tell you, those of you guys that have taken my class, my very, very first open house that I did, I used to have, when I had my nightclub, I think I went to bed real late that night. And my first open house, hang on a second. My first open house that I did, I think I got about 4 hours sleep. I fell asleep during the open house. And the only thing that saved me is my partner, Ronnie Gilbert, came in to check with me, and I was snoring on the floor. So my advice to you, if you're going to do open houses, don't fall asleep. But probably that also is a good pocket. But doubling down, you know what, I think I do more postcards. I try to find, if I get a listing, you got to stay in front of the people. If it's postcards, hey, I'm getting ready to list a coming soon. Just different ways like that. Kelly, any more questions, or what do you want me to do?
No, I think we're good. I mean, if anybody wants to shout out one last thing, we're right at time.
Just don't use any 4-letter words, because my dog may. Yeah. And again, you guys got my email. Thank you, guys. So you got my email, boblieb@aol.com. Sign up for my class. And truthfully, if you guys send me any questions, I'm happy to answer it. My mobile number, you're going to test me here, 602-376-1341. If you have a question, let me tell you something, guys. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I do a pretty good business, but I have my mentors. I have my guys I call all the time, because there's a lot of tricky things going on all the time. If you don't know something, call your broker, call somebody who's better at it than you are, but don't take it on and then get sued and get yourself in trouble. Again, if you guys sign up for my class on the 22nd, I'll tell you some different things I got sued, but I'm very honored, Kelly, that you had me on today. Appreciate
Can I ask
the time
a
you
quick
want.
question, hon?
Oh, one question.
Oh,
One quick question. I just
hang on,
wanted to
hang
know,
on, hang on. Is this gonna be an easy question or are you gonna stump me?
it's an easy one.
All right,
What-
cool. All right.
Who
Who is it? What's your
I've
name?
been putting homeowners in HomeBot, trying to see if I can get their listing.
Uh-huh.
Do you think that's a good lead generation source for listings?
What's your name?
Georgianne, for home, and I'm using HomeBot.
You know what, Georgianne? I don't know what the hell HomeBot is. So
Okay.
does that surprise you, Kelly? So
No.
complete idiot. Let me tell you what I do have though. And I don't know, I'm sure my home group has, their title companies have it. I actually have, even though I'm technology challenged, let me show you something, guys, here, which you would believe, you would not believe that I even have this. I have my own app that I pay monthly for. And I got it through one of the title companies. I think it's $75 a month, but you can give your clients your app. They can look for homes and stuff that's on there. But I don't know what HomeBot is. I don't, so sorry, but get your own app. Here's the other thing I would say, probably in closing. The loyalty out there, not only with agents, but your clients, they're not loyal. Remember I told you that story? And where do you get your app from? I think it's Homestack is who I have my app with. And I got it through the title company that I work with. So Virginia, you're asking me that question. Remember that comment I told you about being loyal with your agents and stuff? Remember I told you that my client that we sold his house for $1.6 million. I got him a great deal. I got him to become a tenant for 2 months. He went and bought him his house by himself. So I'm like, dude, I just sold your house for you. I gave it where you got a great deal. He actually, his mortgage, the new buyer's mortgage payment was going to be $7,000 a month. He only wanted to pay $4,000, and he goes and buys a house from somebody else. So you know what? That hurt. That really hurt. But you know what? That's just the way it is out there. So just know you got to try to stay in touch with your clients as much as you possibly can. Again, thank you very much. Thank you all you guys for thanking me. Feel free to call me or email me, Miss Harris. Thanks again.
Yes,
Bye.
yes. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My
Bye.
pleasure.